Mental health can be a taboo subject in the Black community, and in many circles, the admission of having a mental health issue can bring about shame and embarrassment.
Our next guests are shedding light on mental illness through the power of hip-hop. So welcome Christopher Lemark and Dr. Obari Cartman. Guys, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you for having us.
Christopher, this story is personal to you as someone who grew up in foster care, had some issues growing up. Talk to us about why it's important for you to have this voice and to bring this message.
Well, it's very important because when I grew up on the south side of Chicago in Inglewood area, I didn't know my mom, and I have 4 sisters, and we were abandoned. And we grew up in a home where we dealt with mental, emotional, and physical abuse. For 12 years, I was locked and confined in a dark basement. And I didn't really have an opportunity to really enjoy my childhood. Right. And so I spent a lot of time through music, using that as a sense of therapy, which is why hip hop is so important to me. And I also spent a lot of time advocating for foster children, speaking to them and saying, hey, it's important for you to get past this, but also to own where you came from, be forgiving, be very loving to yourself, but don't allow the abuse to destroy your adulthood. And so for me, it's really important to have this conversation because so many, just think about 50 and 60-year-old men and women who never owned or dealt with the abuse as a child. And so they spend their entire life broken. And so for me, I wanted to share not only the story, but also say, hey, it's okay to go unpack and talk to somebody, go to therapy. Because if you live this life dealing with being beat, being talked down to, being destroyed, and have your childhood taken, if you never deal with that, you would never become your full self.
And I mean, I would argue, even if it's not that extreme, like we all have something that we need to go unpack. So let's talk about more the connection between mental health and hip hop. What connection do you find there?
Well, so for me, I discovered that I had this gift of hip hop in 1998. And it was amazing because I used to be very angry and frustrated, but then I had this ability to write my pain. And so over the years, I was able to share my childhood story, but once I started to go to therapy last year and like commit to that, I said, man, it would be cool if I set a new stage and use my platform to insert this conversation by allowing us to, you know, have fun and pay homage to hip hop, but then also talk about why it's important to deal with our, you know, like our mental and like emotional stability.
You know, Doctor, I imagine a lot of men, I mean, that stigma's going away, I think, a little bit, and that's great that we're having more honest conversations about this, but it's still particularly hard for men to talk about this, especially Black men, too.
Absolutely, and what he's doing is really the best way to chip away at that conversation. I'll go into a school, someone will say, can you come speak to the kids, talk to them about mental health, and you see the eye rolls, and they're like, oh, okay, here we go again. But like when I play music, when I play videos, when I, you know, we dissect lyrics, it opens up a different conversation. People get to see themselves, people get to say, oh, there's other people that have experienced what I've experienced, and now we can elevate the conversation in a different way. Art just has a way to get at the heart of things that the lectures can do, the PowerPoints can do, and so I really just really value your work.
And that's why art is so important. You know, we see these programs get cut in our schools so often, kind of looked at as secondary education, as not as important, as trivial. But like to have that access and to have that place to release all these emotions, like you just never know what you could find with our kids. It's awesome. So let's talk about this event that we have coming up. What's going to be happening there?
So Call for Hip Hop and Mental Health is very cool because it's 3 parts in the event. In the beginning, we do a DJ tribute. This time we're going to tribute Kanye West and Common. That's the first hour, and we have complimentary chair massages for the VIPs. And the cool thing about that is we wanted to have people come in and get relaxed and get prepared for the conversation. And then during the second half, we have a very in-depth panel discussion with myself, Dr. Obari, and also an educator by the name of Augustine, and then it's going to be moderated by WGCI's own Cal Centillion. Ooh, nice. So it's going to be really cool because it's going to be very interactive. So we're going to talk about it from the client perspective because I go to therapy, from the therapist perspective. And then the educator, Augustine, is going to talk about his trauma-based curriculum that he used in schools. So we want everybody to kind of like be comfortable and groomed with the conversation. And so we'll do that for about an hour, and then at the end, we'll provide immediate resources and have therapists on hand to talk to anybody who may want to have that conversation. And then we'll have a live performance for myself and my friends.
That's great. Dr. Obari, I imagine you want people people in the door any way you can. So whether it's
Absolutely.
coffee, whether it's hip hop,
Yeah.
whether it's discussing mental issues, whatever gets people in and gets them relaxed and talk, I imagine that's the most valuable thing that you feel.
Absolutely, because what that does is it reinforces the idea that everybody's going through something. And when you scroll, you think it looks like everybody's got this all figured out, but me, that there's something that I have not done to fix whatever happened to me. But then we hear somebody else's story, like, oh wait, I'm not alone in this. I'm not isolated in this. Other people, life bumps into other people, and we have have a hard time figuring out. So whatever it takes to get folks to come for the music and then get the resources, it's a win-win for everybody, right? They come for the coffee, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you guys for sharing, giving other people the freedom to share and the permission to heal themselves.
And to feel vulnerable. Like that's what art does too. Performing makes you put yourself out there, and those conversations are great from there. All right, be sure to check out Christopher's Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health event this Wednesday at the Promontory. You can head to Eventbrite or Promontory's website for more information and for tickets on that as well. And guys, this is really important. If you need non-emergency mental health care, of course, there's a number for you to call, 800-209-8114, or head to the National Alliance on Mental Illness Chicago at namichicago.org. And of course, if there is an emergency situation, 911 is always your call too, of course.